Charles is so upside down and backwards that I'm not convinced he's not trolling me. I'm not convinced that Charles isn't pulling the strings and I'm the puppet moving around. He's that away from reality that I don't think is possible. I just don't think you can be around the sport. I don't think you could have a manager, like, people that you talk to on a regular basis, social media that's involved in the sport, media members. I just don't think it'd be possible to live in this space and not know what time it is, to the point that I'm starting to think that Charles is playing us, which would be a massive compliment to Charles, because I don't get played very often, but I might be here. Charles came out and said that he does not think it's fair that he has to fight Islam in Abu Dhabi. Now, I can live with that. Fair might mean something different in Portuguese, right? We know in America that there's nothing fair, particularly in business, but I can live with the fact that he said that. The problem was the follow-up sentence where he said he's the champion, he calls the shots. Now, not only is there no truth to that, Charles used to be champion and never called a single shot. I mean, just by example, as champion, he went to Arizona to fight Justin Gaethje, the biggest mixed martial arts star the state has ever produced at that time. Sugar Sean came along, took that away from him about a month ago, but at that time. So this isn't just going to a continent, right? Charles as champion had to go to the state, not just a continent, not just a place where Muslim is more common than not. He went to the actual state. State took his belt away. State didn't even have the authority to take his belt away. In my opinion, he handed it back. I'm just sharing for you. To say that the champion calls the shots, you might think that. There's champions that will come out there and lie. They will come out there, they'll pretend that they're getting from town to town in a private jet. They'll pretend that they got a pocket full of money and they got a staff with them and that they travel by limousine. They'll pretend these things. And if you never make it to that status, you could go your whole life believing that it was true, and I couldn't tease you for that. You're a simpleton, right? You took him at his word. You saw a little video. There was a jet. He said he got on it. He said it was his. Why would I not believe him? I mean, I'm just sharing for it. He used to be champion. What shot did he ever call? I mean, right, it's a really weird thing. But I need to break it down for you guys, okay? As champion, he went to the state where his most dangerous opponent lied. And regardless of how that fight went, that was his most dangerous opponent. State took his belt away. He didn't lose within the state. He was not disqualified within the state. He did not have a hearing or a suspension to his license within the state. They just took his belt away. All right, fine. Okay, great. You got to understand that was the state. Are you guys following me here? I'm really trying to make this point because Islam is not from Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is a city that lies within a country known as the United Arab Emirates, which is in the desert. And within the desert of that country, they irrigated 6 cities, one of them being Abu Dhabi. Very hard to do anything in the desert. Very difficult. Las Vegas, which they will never work because there's no water. So Abu Dhabi, they got desert everywhere. They irrigated 6 cities. One of them is called Abu Dhabi. I tell you that because you guys, a lot of you might think it's a country. I'm giving you a little bit of a lesson here. But Islam is from Dagestan. Dagestan is within Russia, and we could have an entire debate on that. Because while what I just said is accurate, Dagestan doesn't think it is. Either way, it's not in the Middle East. Oh, and by the way, Islam does his training camps at the same place that Khabib did with Coach Javier Mendez in San Jose, California. Islam Makhachev's plane ride to get to the fight will be 4.5 hours longer than Charles Oliveira's plane ride to get to the fight. If you're talking about home field advantage, I think that you're talking about whoever is closest to the stadium. That's what it has always meant my entire life. Whoever is closest to the arena has the home field advantage. Charles Oliveira has got him by 4.5 hours. Now, I see where I'm being a little bit silly, but I am attempting to prove a point, though. What is he talking about? Okay, great, we don't have to hide it. He's talking about the Muslim community. Well, let's take a little bit of a look at that. There is nobody that is asking to see a rematch between Charles and Islam. That's a broad stroke, and that's even rude. Okay, Gabriel Checo, I might have just violated our deal. I apologize, but I'm attempting to prove a point. Nobody is pining for this fight. Not in North America, that drives this. Not just these United States. I'm bringing our friends across the border in the Canadian crowd. This is not in demand. The first one was not in demand. The first one was so completely one-sided, it was a 3-1 spread before it happened. 3-1. Now that we've seen it, it's 4-1. There are not rematches that happen under these circumstances. Timeout. Somebody in Abu Dhabi wants that fight again. It's irrelevant that you know that. Well, Charles is going out and saying this isn't fair. We have to fight in Abu Dhabi. Excuse me, Charles. If they didn't do the fight in Abu Dhabi, you're not getting the fight. You were not remotely competitive the first time. It was 7.5 minutes that went everywhere. It went against the cage. It went in the center. It went to a wrestling department. There was punches. There was kicks. There was knees. It went everywhere. Every part of it was not only won, it was dominated by the same guy. Now, there's no part of me that's attempting to be a jerk to Charles. I'm attempting to perhaps compliment him. I don't believe it is possible to be so lost that you have a world title fight for the second time against the same guy only because of the geographical location. There is no other reason that this is being rematched. I think he knows that. And I think he's having fun. Because while it appears that he doesn't, I don't think he's a great actor. While it would appear that he doesn't, I have to juxtapose, does he not versus he would have to. And then I also think that there's a troll move there where he's trying to say this is home field advantage when he, in fact, is 4.5 hours closer by plane. And that was juxtaposed, by the way, using a 747 jumbo jet. If you care to go and do the research yourself. And that, of course, on top of the fact that he, as champion, had to go into his greatest challenger's backyard, his real backyard, not a country that likes him, that happens to have a culture that he can relate with, his actual backyard. And they took his belt, which I don't think they had the authority to. I mean, I'm just saying it's a really interesting thing. Charles Oliveira believes it's unfair to fight in Abu Dhabi. He's either a really good marketing guy, which I didn't know, or he is completely unaware that he would not be given this opportunity if it were not for the fact that it's taking place in Abu Dhabi.